And welcome to the Metal Mixtape. My name is Omar Rodriguez. I'm your heavy metal journalist, and I am here to talk about why people hate Avenged Sevenfold and why people love Avenged Sevenfold here on the Heavy Metal Opinion with me. Let's break this down. So, Avenged Sevenfold is an American heavy metal band from Huntington Beach, California that formed in 1999 with a current lineup of M.shadows, Zachary Vengeance, Sinister Gates, Johnny Christ, and Brooks Wackerman. And of course, if you know Avenged Sevenfold, rest in peace, Jimmy the Rev Sullivan. So I'm going to talk about why people love Avenged Sevenfold. I think why people love Avenged Sevenfold is that when they first came out, when they first came out, they were a huge mixture of a whole lot of genres. Everybody in the band liked a whole bunch of different of music from punk, heavy metal, and when I first heard of them, I thought they were like the perfect mixture of both punk and heavy metal. And my first introduction to them was with Waken the Fallen. Unholy Confessions was one of their first breakthrough songs that everybody just absolutely loved. The amazing riffs, the amazing harsh vocals, the amazing clean vocals. But I think also a lot of it had to drive with, Jimmy the Rev Sullivan with his drum beats, man. Because with his, I feel a riff is only as good as the drummer, and for him, I felt like he was a perfect mixture of punk, the perfect mixture of heavy metal, and they brought it all together with M.shadows doing his clean vocals and his harsh vocals, and also Sinister Gates just coming out of the gates as one of the most Sinister Gates coming out of the gates as one of the best guitar players to ever just do it in the game. And it was an amazing introduction, and they were destroying it at Warped Tour, and then all of a sudden they came out with City of Evil, and Backcountry just absolutely took over the world. I remember being like 16 years old and seeing them on TRL, and I'm like, they're on TRL. I mean, Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys and Usher, they're on TRL. Then all of a sudden, here comes Avenged Sevenfold, looking like the second coming of Guns N' Roses, just absolutely punching people in their face. And City of Evil had some of the most amazing songs I've ever heard in my entire life, with MIA. Just so many sick songs. Like Seize the Day was like the second coming of like November Rain on steroids. That album was just amazing. It was incredible, and it was just such a huge breakthrough, especially for heavy metal at the time. Honestly, I honestly don't know of another heavy metal band that quite broke through like Linkin Park. I know people would say, "Well, like, dude, you have System of a Down, you have Korn, you have the Linkin Parks." But the thing is, what set Ben Sevenfold different was how complex their musical structures were, how complex their melody was. They didn't. There's nothing wrong with just keeping it a song 3 minutes and just being in the pocket and creating some amazing choruses and some amazing verses. But the thing about Avenged Sevenfold is that all their songs had a build to it. It was this huge build up. It was this huge climax that a lot of their structures had, which was incredible. And I also think a lot of the lyrics were very personal, were very about real life. When you listen to Avenged Sevenfold, you could hear that they had something to say mentally and they had something to say emotionally, and it carried on through their albums. And every album by Avenged Sevenfold has something else to say. With Sounding the Seventh Trumpet, Waking the Fallen. I love the live in LBC, dude, Diamonds in the Rough, which was absolutely sick until the end. Dancing Dead, just incredible. City of Evil, the stage, Life is but a, Avenged Sevenfold, they're self-titled, Nightmare, Hell to the King, and their recent album, Life is but a Dream, which was just, all their albums, they all have something different for you. If you want something different in the band, each one of these albums, if you just love their tone and you're obsessed with this band, every single one has something emotionally different to offer you, and that's what I love. What I think people love about I love Avenged Sevenfold too, but I'll also tell you why I think people hate them, because I don't like to be biased in my opinion. I can understand why people don't like certain things. But each one of their albums, like, dude, like, the stage was just some complete mind fuck. You know what I mean? I felt like I was in outer space the whole day. Nightmare it's just Nightmare was just, I swear, so underrated, but just such an incredible album. The last album that Jimmy the Rev Solomon was on, rest in peace, love you, Jimmy. Hell to the King, their tribute. A lot of people said, oh well, they had some negative things to say about that, but I'll come into that. But each one of these albums had so many powerful songs, and if you watch the interviews with M.shadows, you know that they just release songs when they have something to say. They just release albums when they have something to say. They release albums to be inspired. There's bands out there and labels out there that will push bands to release an album every year, every 2 years. And Avenged Sevenfold, I feel, are one of those bands that instead of releasing a bunch of quantity, they release a bunch of quality, and I feel like quality lasts forever. You know, there's people out there that talk shit on bands that have one hit wonders. I'm like, yeah, but that one hit wonder is getting played a billion times, and there's bands out there that don't even make it. They release a lot of good albums, but they'll never release a one hit wonder, and it's called a wonder for a reason. And Avenged Sevenfold always pushes the limits. They don't stay stagnant. They don't release the album over and over, and they continue to grow. I mean, they're parents. They've gone through things in their life, and when you have children, you evolve mentally. You evolve in how you want to write, and they just mature. And I think people love Avenged Sevenfold is because the drumming is next level, the guitar shredding is next level, the vocals are next level. Everything they do is just next level on the sense of them being musically just talented and their growth. You know, it starts with it started with Jimmy the Rev Sullivan. Brooks is an absolute madman. And then, you know, just hearing the growth in M.shadows' voice, and how, you know, I know he's talked about him blowing his voice and how him having to retrain himself, and it's just amazing to see the growth in this band, and they're killing it. They're headlining festivals, they're headlining arenas, and I think the reason is because they've been able to adapt, and they're playing music for the right reasons. And I think people love Avenged Sevenfold because not only are they extremely catchy, but they play music that's very emotional, very relatable, and their structures are just so complex and such. If you can make your structures complex and make it catchy, and make it relatable and make it emotional, I think those are the four traits that make you really like a band and make you really attracted to the band, and it makes a band have so much longevity for the future. I think that's why people love Avenged Sevenfold. Why people think why I think people hate Avenged Sevenfold? It's because people thought they were just like corny sellouts, right? You know what I mean? And I think it's because of Avenged Sevenfold got so much traction, right? And people are like, "Who the hell is this band?" Like, and you know, a lot of elitists would be like, "Well, this band has to be heavy. They have to have, you know, like they have to have so many like blast beats. They have to talk about just ripping people apart," which A Little Piece of Heaven kind of does that. But the thing is like heavy metal really never. There's a lot of bands out there that never really push the envelope. You know, there's bands out there that will release the same album over and over and over, and it does please people to just stay in one lane. And a lot of people don't like change, you know. And a lot of people, when they got into Avenged Sevenfold, they liked Awaken the Fallen and they liked City of Evil. And as soon as they released their self-titled, as soon as they released Nightmare, Hell is the King, The Stage, Life is But a Dream, they're like, "What the hell is this, dude? This band is just a bunch of bullshit, and they don't stick to one lane." And a lot of people don't like change. A lot of people don't like bands that evolve. A lot of people just like they want their one album that they like about a band, and they want to hear that repeated. I know there's people out, even people in the comment section still go, "Man, this is good, but it's no City of Evil." And people would, there's honestly people out there that have rather had Avenged Sevenfold regurgitate the same album 10 times. But I'll tell you this: I don't think Avenged Sevenfold would still be alive as a band if they did that. I think they still would be, obviously, you know what I mean. But I think they're now more monumental, and I think people hate them because, you know, they constantly switch up their sound and their popularity. They're like, well, you know, they're not playing the heaviest stuff. Like, why do people call them heavy metal? Why do people say, you know, that they're just like so much more talented? And I think a lot of it has to come with people just don't like change, and people want to just like what they like, which is perfectly fine. You know, I respect everybody's opinions, but we're talking about why people dislike Avenged Sevenfold. And also, the next one why people dislike Avenged Sevenfold is that they called them like Metallica ripoffs with like their album Hell of the King, which they talk about them playing that album in respects to the music they grew up on. You know what I mean? And that was one of their most successful albums. Hell to the King is probably arguably one of the most successful songs, and people just hate a band that change, and I think that's why people dislike them. They dislike them because they go up there with their confidence. You know, when City of Evil came out, they had their swag, they had their aviators, you know, they had the bandanas, and people were just like, who the hell are these pretty boys just taking over the heavy metal scene? And I think people just dislike them because they don't fit the status quo. They don't fit what you think a heavy metal should look like. They don't fit the being brutal all the time and being super heavy all the time. And what the thing is, they are heavy. There's a lot of songs that they play that is heavy, you know. But I know right now the most hate they've gotten ever, I think, has to be off Life Is But a Dream. People called that album a shit album. They said it was just a bunch of noise. And for people that why people love Avenged Sevenfold, they love it. It's because they heard all the growth in it. You know, I talked about a video of Cosmic, which was amazing, and M.shadows actually watched it, which still blows my mind to this day. And you know, they talked about how I think they remixed it 3 times, and to each remix was like 15 hours, and they didn't know how to end the song. And you know, also Sinister Gates was talking about how that song's been around for a long time, and they finally got around to doing it. But you know, to hear a band, if you like Avenged Sevenfold, go check out their podcast Tracks, which is super sick. But you know, I think people hate Avenged Sevenfold because they're constantly growing and they don't like to stay in the same lane, and some people just don't like their popularity because of a band that just changes a lot. And I think people love Avenged Sevenfold because they change a lot. It's weird. There's people that like bands because they change a lot, and then there's people that dislike bands because they change a lot. And I think Avenged Sevenfold is a prime example of that. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. This has been my heavy metal opinion. Let me know what you think about the comments below, and let me know why you think people hate Avenged Sevenfold and why you think people love Avenged Sevenfold here on the Metal Mixtape.